started. Hi, everybody. It is so good to see you all logging in. Let's see. Where is my Zoom control panel? My goodness. Everybody is having computer problems today. If you are among those, you're not alone. Rachel and I were both having very interesting conversations about our technology today. So hi, welcome to our webinar. It is great to see so many of you logging in. People are still logging in, but I'd like to go ahead and get started just because Rachel has a really fun, very interactive presentation ready for you today, and I can't wait for you to see what she has. Just a couple quick housekeeping things. If you're not familiar with me, my name is Abby. I'm part of the team over at QGive, and I see some familiar names here. So if you are a QGive client and you have questions about anything Rachel's talking about, if she suggests any updates to your fundraising strategies, let me know. I can at least get you to the right person if I can't give you an answer myself. If you are not a QGive client, everything you learn today is going to be applicable to you and what you're doing. And I can't wait to hear what you think about this presentation. A couple little things. So we are recording this webinar, and you will get a recording of the webinar tomorrow morning. It will include a link to the recording. It will include a download of Rachel's slides, and it'll include some other resources you can use as you work toward establishing a culture of philanthropy at your organization. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, do try to drop them in the Q&A box. So there are two boxes. There's a chat and a Q&A. A lot of times chats will move really fast. So if you have a question, do drop it in the Q&A box so we can keep an eye on it and make sure we get answers for you. Otherwise, if you want to talk to me, talk to Rachel, talk to each other, you do have the opportunity to communicate with both panelists and all of the attendees. So feel free to share insights and jokes and whatever else occurs to you in there. We are tweeting the highlights of this over at the QGive Twitter account. I included the handle here just in case you want to go follow along. Use that hashtag if you want to join in the conversation. And then if you are a Twitter user and you don't already follow Rachel, I would highly suggest you do so. She posts great stuff all the time, and she's just generally a hoot to talk to. But all that being said, I'm going to turn things over to Rachel.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I am super excited. Oh, do you mind letting me share my screen, gorgeous lady?
Yeah.
We are so happy to be with all of you guys today. We're going to have a lot of fun. As Abby said, this is a super interactive presentation, and I'm really excited. And I love all those amazing housekeeping tips from Abby. And we're going to be using the chat to chat you up. And we do love jokes, and we could use some funny jokes. So feel free to type us some jokes into the chat. But any questions you have, my fantastic fundraising friends, just pop those into the Q&A. And that way, Abby and I can keep the Q&A nice and clean and pristine and make sure we cover all of your incredible questions. So I have an overactive mouse today. So if I skip through something, please forgive me. It's just a little trigger happy. I've spent my whole career in fundraising. I started a nonprofit to empower girls in math, science, engineering, and technology, raised millions of dollars. And what I do today is train people to be better at their fundraising. And I absolutely love helping fundraisers delight their donors, become their donors' favorite charity, and save themselves time and headaches. I really love helping save people the headaches and the trials and tribulations that I went through as a fundraiser. And today is all about helping you have a more successful culture of philanthropy. This is all real stuff that I went through as a fundraiser. Our program and development team many years ago at Girl Start was really divided. It was like divorced parents who were only speaking together for the sake of the kids. And if you're struggling with that on any level at your organization, it could be your board and your staff, it could be your executive director and the rest of the staff, today is going to give you a lot of hope and a lot of help and a lot of healing. And again, type your questions anytime into the Q&A box, and pretty please with sugar on top. We're going to be using the chat to chat you up. So, and read your hilarious jokes. So, type your questions in the Q&A. You will get the recording, and you will get the slides from Abby. Usually I upload my slides before a presentation, but these were too big. These were like too large, and I kept trying to compress them, and I just couldn't do it. So you will get the slides from Abby. So the languages that I am fluent in, aside from um, raising teenagers, which is a language I barely speak, but I'm being forced to now because I have twin teenagers. But on top of fundraising, I also speak board, I speak CEO, I speak founder, I speak development, I speak programs, and I speak marketing. And I speak Spanish, a little bit of Italian. But those are all the languages I speak, and I have served on many boards, and I have the scars and t-shirts to prove it, and run several nonprofit organizations. So you're going to have a lot of fun today, and you're going to get a lot of tips today. And hopefully by the end of our session today, whether you are in development or you are in programs or you are a board member or you are a CEO, you will have a better understanding and respect for those different roles and those different departments, and how you can better communicate to have a more successful culture of philanthropy, one that embraces fundraising within your organization. You can learn more about me at rachelmuir.com. My email address is rachel@rachelmuir.com. You can type in questions anytime into the Q&A box today. And I hope you have a pen and a piece of paper ready, friends, because we're going to have a lot of fun. And I'm going to ask you some questions today, and I'm going to do some pop quizzes today, and you're going to need to write down your answers. So grab a pen, grab a piece of paper. We're going to be talking about what is a culture of philanthropy. I'm going to be asking you some questions to talk about your philanthropic culture, what it is now. I'm going to unpack and let you really see what programs really thinks and what really motivates programs and what really motivates development. And I'm going to give you fixes for programs, for development, as well as the leadership team, as well as your CEO. And of course, we've got times for your questions. Sarah, I'm going to ask you to pretty please with sugar on top, put any questions that you have into the Q&A box, because I'm going to be chatting you up a lot in the chat. So you are going to get, and she asked, look, we just acquired a for-profit company. That's fascinating. Any tips about building a culture of philanthropy? They feel overworked and underpaid as before. Stick with me, and you're going to learn lots of tips for creating a culture of philanthropy for a nonprofit organization. That is interesting. I'm guessing you are a nonprofit that acquired a for-profit. Way to go. Hey, by the way, little housekeeping tip. Thanks to the amazing folks at QGive, you actually get 1 CFRE credit for today. So that's pretty awesome. So just know that this webinar is not only entertaining, you get professional development credit. And I put this in the chat earlier, but I brought some party favors, and these are available to you at rachelmuir.com/guides. I've got 12 strategies to build a culture of philanthropy. And I also have a really handy sample board agreement to help get your board engaged in creating a culture of philanthropy. All right, so legit. And again, the slides are going to be emailed to you by QGive, so don't worry about those. I couldn't upload them because they were too big. Culture is the most important thing that a lot of organizations never deal with. Type me if you do not have the culture at your nonprofit organization that you want to have. Type me into the chat. I love it. I love it. Rosemary's like, swag, even digital swag. Okay, a lot of people don't have the culture that they want. A culture of philanthropy is a culture where everybody embraces the role that fundraising plays in serving the mission. It's kind of like, I don't know if you ever played Red Rover when you were a little kid, and your organization is only as strong as the weakest link. Every single person has a role to play in embracing a culture of philanthropy, obviously from your development team, but your program team needs to welcome donors and welcome them in and make them feel a part of it. Your board needs to embrace fundraising. But that is what a culture of philanthropy is. It's about relationships. It's not just about money. And it's about valuing the role that fundraising plays in making your mission happen. Oh my God, Jennifer says, when I bring it up, people look at me like I have 6 heads. This is a really great research report, Inside Out Fundraising. This was done by my friends Mark Rovner and Aaliyah McKee at Sea Change Strategies. And they did a really in-depth survey of over more than 300 nonprofit leaders, in-depth interviews, what's working, what's broken, how to create a culture of philanthropy. This is a great read. You can go to seachangestrategies.com to check it out and download it. And what they realized when they did this studies, again, seachangestrategies.com, only 1 in 5 fundraisers said that their organization had a strong culture of philanthropy. Only 1 in 5. So that's like 20%. And what I'm here to tell you is this is sobering, but this is the reality. The problem could be coming, the call could be coming from inside the house. Here's our joke for the day. The call could be coming from inside the house. Your greatest fundraising challenge may be your own internal organization. If you do not have your board on board with fundraising, if you do not have a CEO who embraces fundraising, if fundraising is the F word or a dirty word at your organization, if people are looking at you like you have 6 heads, when you talk about embracing the role of fundraising, then you've got the call coming from inside the house. My fundraising friends, these are some super awesome resources that I encourage you to check out. These were both studies that were commissioned by the Evelyn and Walter Haas Junior Fund. And you can go to, it's haasjunior.org/resources/beyond fundraising. Underdeveloped was a landmark study that really documented all the challenges facing nonprofits in terms of turnover, in terms of not having a culture of philanthropy. And these are both really, so if you want to kind of like document the problem that has no name, if you feel like you're having a problem and you want to show proof this is legit, this is what not having a culture of philanthropy looks like, this is some resources to help you back it up. Oh, I love, we got a joke in here. I love you, Shauna. Thank you. We need more jokes to liven up our day. I love it. You are awesome. Fundraising with a weak culture is like driving around town with the emergency brake on. And when you don't have a culture of philanthropy, some of the symptoms that you might be facing are, people fighting over who gets credit for a gift. Is it major gifts? Is it direct mail? Is it mid-level? You may have outright battling between those departments or between fundraising staff and program staff. You may not be able to keep staff members in their role. You may have really high turnover, bad data, unrealistic budget targets, bad relationships between the CEO and the fundraiser, bad relationships between the fundraiser and the board, bad relationships between the CEO and the board, a lack of money to invest. I'm going to invite you so that Abby and I have a clear picture of how things are going for you. I'm going to invite you to think about 3 adjectives, okay? 3 adjectives that you would use to describe your organization's culture right now as it relates to fundraising. So this is right now at your organization. Type into the chat the 3 adjectives that best describe your relationship to fundraising. Is it, the F word? Is it, you tell me, give me 3 adjectives. Ooh, judgmental, said Ashley. Detached, siloed, not my problem. Love that. Ooh, someone said committed, understood. Some people said old school, stagnant, tentative, nervous, detached, asleep. Sasha wins a prize here. He said committed, understood, and expected. So Sasha is like the person that we all want to understand, like, what are they doing that's great? Sasha's going to be the person that Sasha Urban, everyone wants to get Sasha Urban's email address and find out what Sasha Urban is doing. But stick with me because I'm going to also tell you what great organizations do and how you can improve things and make them better. I've got overwhelming, disconnected, idealistic. I've got tough, limited, expanding. I've got not my job. I've got Frady Cat. I've got some awesome images here. Ooh, ouch, taken for granted. Laura, I feel your pain. April said balanced. We've got mission-driven learning, hopeful. I love this. I am so excited and enthused that we have some healthy organizations with a healthy culture of philanthropy that are chiming in and joining us today. And I want to invite you guys at any time, if you want to share your email address, it's up to you, with other folks that, if you were like, I can be your mentor, no pressure if you don't. Or if you want to share like something, if you want to type in a story into the chat of like how you created a culture of philanthropy, what is working best for your organization. As I'm sharing some of the guidance in today's webinar, these might have been things that you did yourself. So that's awesome. I'm really encouraged by that. And I want everyone to be encouraged by that. Jessica said, learning, growing, engaged. I love that. Christy said, learning and growing. Alice said, hands off, disconnected, toxic, which happens. It happens. You know, it can get better. It can get better. Expected, challenging, disconnected. I love this. Yay, Sasha said it all comes down to our amazing CEO. Leadership has to be on board in order to change a culture of philanthropy. So that is awesome. You guys are amazing. And I just love you guys for all the great stuff. I've got learning nervous lemonade stand. That's fascinating. And I've got someone said, these answers are amazing for my professional ego. Thank you. Yay. Already. And it's only like 1:16 Central Standard Time, 2:16 Eastern Standard Time. We're totally winning. I'm so happy. We've got a great joke. We're making someone's day. Everything's already so much better. So these are some intervention points where you can make changes to breathe air into these stale rooms and address some of these silos and create a culture of philanthropy with your senior leadership, with what I like to refer to as the golden trio. That's fundraising, communications, and programs. You've got to set and reward the right goals, and I'm going to be talking about doing that. Identifying or revisiting your core values. And I'm really passionate about core values. And one of the ways that we transformed our culture of philanthropy was by creating core values. And I love encouraging people to do that. But I want to tell you one really important thing about core values. Core values are who you are when no one's looking. They are the intrinsic, the DNA of your organization. We embrace learning, we embrace mistakes, we have fun and enjoy the experience. We believe that no failure at home is worth success at work, right? Those are some sample ones. Those are some core values. And if it's time for you to revisit them, maybe you're not living up to the ones you have and you want to revisit, do these accurately reflect us? How can we do a better job of reaching them? Or maybe you don't have them, you want to create them. Either way, the one thing that I want to encourage you guys to do is have everyone be a part of putting their thumbprint on those core values, because when the executive leadership team goes off to some fancy schmancy resort or whatever retreat and has yummy catered food and cocktail parties and all this amazingness and goes horseback riding and does like trust falls or whatever they do, and they come back jazzed about the core values that they wrote, everyone else is like, seriously, are you kidding me? Everyone else is like everybody that works at the office at Dunder Mifflin. So let everyone be a part of it. And that can start by everyone being involved in identifying them, and then you bubble them up once you have like clear kind of categories. My dog is saying he doesn't bark, so he's allowed to come to webinars. But I invite you to think about, start out with everybody invited to the party on identifying core values and treating donors as partners. Super important. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys a quiz. And I told you guys earlier this was going to be super interactive. And I want you to get a piece of paper and I want you to get a pen. So grab your paper and grab your pen. I'm going to give you a quiz with 8 different questions. Okay, 8 different questions are going to be on this quiz. And your answers are going to be yes, sometimes, or no. So one of 3 answers: Y, S, or no. Yes, sometimes, or no. Okay, so this is the first question. Do you have an involved contributing board of directors that values and participates in fundraising? Yes, no. Y, S, or no. Number 2, Do marketing, finance, and program staff support and value fundraising? Yes, sometimes, no. Okay, I'm glad you don't have to type this in the chat. I want you to I literally want you to write this on a piece of paper. You are keeping score for yourself. I want you to write this down on a piece of paper, okay? Y, S, or no. Right, 1 through 8, and for each one, Y, S, or no. Okay, 1 through 8. Number 3, does your CEO, typo there, forgive me, does your CEO and development director have a strong and trusting relationship? Y, S, or no? You're keeping track, my friends. Number 4, are staff from all departments, forgive my typos, but that means fundraising, programs, and marketing, seen as equal and valued partners in the organization. Now, if you're really tiny, if you don't have, if you have like one program staff member and one fundraising person and no marketing people, you know, do the people that you have, do they see themselves as equal and valued partners? Y, S, or N? 1 through 4, so yeah, so okay, so do the best that you can. Y, S, or N, answer 1 through 4. We are going to switch to the next 4 questions, and I'm looking for like the total, my in score question that I'm going to ask you in a while is how many of you said no and how many times. But number 5, are conflicts between departments resolved quickly and responsibly? Y, S, or no? Is fundraising adequately funded, planned for, and staffed with enough resources to function well? So, you know, some of you may have 8. I answered no to all of these things. I'm going to ask you in just a second. Number 7, does your organization have low staff turnover, especially in development, where you want to have the least turnover? And drum roll, please. Number 8, does your organization value donor retention over donor acquisition? Value donor retention. Does your organization value keeping the donors you have over going out and finding new ones? So there were 8 total questions. And what I want you to do right now is in the chat, I want you to type the number of times you said no. Maybe some of you said no 5 times. Maybe some of you said no 8 times. Okay. Yay. Someone said 0. Someone said 1. Someone said 2. That's good. Yay. Okay. I'm happy that a lot of you are like 1s and 0s and 2s. And it's okay that some of you are 4. That's okay. If your number is 4 or more, we got some work to do. Okay. We got a little bit of work to do, and you're in the right place. And my 6s, Sarah and Susan, I'm sorry, Sarah. My 6s, it's okay. You're in the right place. Carol was a 5, Katie was a 4, Jason was a 6. You are in the right place. You're in a safe place, and you are in the right place. Okay, so here we go. We're gonna turn this ship around. Now, I have one more thing that I want you to type into the chat. And sorry, I said I have an overactive clicker, and I do. I ordered a new one from Amazon. Let's talk about where you're going to be. Let's talk about your future state. If you could wave a magic wand, what 3 words would you use to describe your organization's culture? How do you want to describe your organization's culture? Thriving, teamwork, robust, respected, enviable. Yay, I love it. We've got connected, communicative, passionate, complete, thriving, working together. I love this. We are all in this together, and we literally all are all in this together. And I'm so glad you chose to hang with myself and Abby, who I absolutely adore. This is the most fun ever. Engaged, passionate, fun, connected, intentional. I love it. I'm so proud of each and every one of you. And I want you to take those 3 words of what you want, your future state, and I want you to like put them on a Post-it note and like put them like write it on a Post-it note and put it on your monitor, put it on your desk, put it somewhere where it's kind of like a quasi woo-woo intention that you're setting here, because I think that you can get there, and I'm here to inspire you for the next 30 minutes to get you as close as I can to the finish line. But I want to give you a quote from my friend Elaine McKee, who I adore, from Sea Change Strategies. She and Mark Rovner are the principals at Sea Change Strategies. Check them out at seachangestrategies.com. They're incredible human beings. They have an amazing mid-level listserv. And she said this, and I was like, I'm going to make a slide about that and say that everywhere I go. Programs, it's like programs in development had a crappy divorce, and they're only speaking to each other because of the kids. And in a lot of organizations, it's like this. And even at my organization, we were so divided, like Jennifer Aniston and Vince Vaughn in the breakup. We were like on other sides of the spectrum from one another, and it felt like super intense, and like we were at each other's throats. But I know that to the rest of the world, it looked more like this. It was like, this is silly, this is trivial. Why are these people not getting along? This seems like the dumbest thing ever. So why can't we be friends? Why can't we just all get along? I'm going to start with the gap between programs and development. This is one that I felt pretty strongly myself. And hey, check it out. Fable, from my TV diet as a child, I love The Odd Couple. Surprise, surprise, Oscar was my man. I loved what a slob he was, and I loved what like a control freak Felix was. I love that show. I love what a slob he was. He was just, it was charming. And and programs and development in my organization reminded me a lot of Oscar and Felix, because we as fundraisers were always asking programs, oh, give me a story that's a tearjerker. Like, give me a story that, like, is this going to make the donor cry? Just give me that. Just hand me that. Just lay it on me. And programs was much more pious and noble and adhering to safety and the rules. And they were like, you told a donor we were going to do what? Like, development was off and the possibility of imagination and anything can happen. And oh my God, wouldn't it be fun if we had robots? We taught our girls to race robots through fire and ice. And programs is like, excuse me, you told donors that we were going to have kids here with fire? What are you talking about? So development lives in the here and now. They're all about the dream. They may wish that programs were more flexible and nimble and not so rigid like Felix. They may feel like they're interrupting programs with donor visits and they're like intruding. And of course, they want really emotional stories from the front lines. And programs may not know donors, and they're not as much in the relationship sphere of life. They're more in the sphere of the cause and making change happen. And they may feel intimidated by donors. They may feel intimidated by what they don't know because they know what they know so well. It's really easy for them to feel like at the whim of the cause du jour. And they live, whereas development lives in the dream. Programs lives very much, very squarely in the what and in the how and in the here and in the now. And they may feel like, oh my God, yesterday you said we were going to pursue this funding stream. Now you want me to do this. What are you talking about? I have whiplash from just talking to you. So Karen said, I actually had a program person say fundraisers were like vultures. Wow. Yeah. Vultures, purse snatchers. Yeah. So I was in a situation myself where programs in development did not get along. We brought in a trainer. We didn't do this by ourselves. We brought in a trainer who was really good at conflict resolution. We filtered all of our decisions through our mission and our core values, like how good of a job does this fulfill our core values? Does pursuing this grant or pursuing this program fulfill our core values? We also evaluated all of our programs, not just by how much money they raised, not just by this gets great media exposure, but by this is really loved by the community. This doesn't have the direct impact on girls like this program does in terms of impacting their grades, but this program gives us the opportunity to serve many girls in our community that we might not normally serve. And this may sound subtle, but this was transformative in terms of programs feeling respected and understood by development, and in terms of us really seeing the big picture of how all of our work supports many different goals that we have as an organization. We started celebrating gifts, and when a check came in, we started respectfully, we created a really good culture of storytelling where we would start staff meetings with stories. We would reward and incentivize staff to tell stories. We made it really easy for programs to collect stories. And when we use those stories in a fundraising appeal, we would give programs the cowbell, and they would ring this cowbell when gifts came in from that appeal. So it made them feel like, I'm part of this, and this is really exciting. And so we also really celebrated wins. We encouraged storytelling. We rewarded assists. That is a good example of assist. A lot of times fundraisers walk in with a big check, they get the glory, they get the praise, they get the woohoo, but programs helped us get that gift. So we rewarded assists as much as points scored. Great brands do not just happen. You don't just come out of the cereal box, a great brand that everybody loves, that has an amazing culture. Creating a culture of philanthropy or creating a culture of fun or anything else is seriously hard work, and smart companies invest in it, and they invest really well in it. So you love these power couples. Oh, and one of these already is not a power couple anymore. Melinda and Bill Gates, no longer a power couple. So you may love these power couples, or in the case of Frank and Claire Underwood, you may love to hate these power couples. But what makes these power couples powerful is they know and understand one another's strengths, and they play to that person's strengths. Or like in the case of Claire and Frank, they kind of started playing, they kind of stopped doing that, depending on how many seasons you went into that. But we have to respect and understand everybody's different. Programs are motivated by different things. Fundraisers are motivated by different things. So let's go deep into our fundraising friends, and let's talk about fundraisers and what motivates them for a second. Oops, sorry, overactive trigger. The fundraiser lives in the dream and the what if. The glass is always half full. They may have every last donor gala detail planned, but they may forget your program milestones. They may forget the editorial calendar that marketing has. They are driven by relationships and connections and meaning, and they like winning. And of course, they love gifts. And of course, they love engaging people. And what they want you to know, if anyone here, type me if you are in programs or you are in marketing or you are the CEO, type me into the chat if you are not in fundraising, you're joining us today. Yes, Frank and Claire are totally, completely evil, 100%, but it's kind of fun to watch how evil they are. Yay, Dawn is someone who's not in fundraising. Dawn, this is what the fundraisers want you to know. The pressure to raise money is relentless and it is intense. This is what it looks like when the Spanx come off. This is what after the event is over and we take off our Spanx, after the event is over and we're doing cleanup, and we've been holding it in, right? And this is what it looks like. The donor may not know or care about 99% of the work that we do, and that's okay. They don't have to be the expert. All they need to know is that they love you and that they want to give to you, and that giving to you is going to help them achieve the kind of great work that they want to achieve in their life. They don't have to be an expert. They don't have to, like I was just talking about this yesterday in my League of Extraordinary Fundraisers program. We were talking about rescue missions and old man eating. And in most rescue mission appeals, you see a photo of an old man eating like a pumpkin pie. That appeal works. Trying to educate your donors that in fact, many of the people that are coming to your rescue mission are not 70, 65-year-old men, but 30-year-old men. Don't worry about it. They may not know that. They don't need to know that. What they need to know is that you are helping homeless people live better lives. And fundraising is also extremely emotional and it's extremely personal. It's all about relationships. And it's driven by what works, not what we wished worked. And by the way, the slides, you're going to get these from Abby, so don't worry. Now we opened up and we looked really deep inside what programs, what fundraisers want you to know about themselves. Now we are going to look at our program friends. They are smart, they are noble, they are trustworthy, they are methodical, they are dedicated, they are so passionate. They live in the what and the how. They are driven by passion. They are driven by making an impact, and they are driven by progress. And what they want you to know is that the board's big goals sound really good on paper, but if we actually implemented those, we could totally. They also want you to know that fundraising goals can appear to change like the daily special at a restaurant, and they may have whiplash, as I said earlier, from trying to keep up with you. They also want you to know that they have a lot of serious responsibilities. Type um, me if you are in fundraising and right now you are having an aha moment that, like, oh my God, my program friends, I didn't realize they might be struggling with this. Type me if that's you. Type me if you are a fundraiser who has some newfound respect for your program friends. Yay, Christy. Excuse me. Yes, our program friends have serious, yay, Margot, have serious responsibilities involving the safety, well-being, and welfare of girls and and clients and animals that have nothing to do with fundraising. And even though programs are the boots on the ground, they can feel totally invisible, not even seen, and not even heard next to all the praise, attention, and glory that development gets when they walk in with these huge checks in their hand. And another thing that programs want you to know, and this is one of their biggest pet peeves, is they super hate it when you think out loud and they can't tell if this is like something that we're all going to go rush out and do, or if you're just brainstorming. So they can ask, hey, are we just brainstorming ideas out loud here, or is this an actual command? Is this an actual mandate? Or you can say, we're just brainstorming, but they can't tell. And to them, it just looks like this kind of endless carousel flurry of ideas. So how the heck do we solve it? I'm going to give you some ideas immediately right away. I'm going to start with what development can do. I'm going to go into what programs can do. And then I'm going to give you 7 tips for leadership. And then I'm going to give you some tips for your board. So I love it that there are no questions right now, but I just want to say, if you've got questions, you are totally welcome to type them into the chat, my fundraising friends. And we are so happy that you are all with us today. And we're digging right into solving this. So these are some things. So if you have a situation, you've been typing it in the chat, pop it into the Q&A and I will chat about it. Looking at you, Joan. 5 things development can do to help create a culture of philanthropy at your organization. Number 1, steward your program staff like you do your donors. That gives them an idea and an understanding of how the sausage gets made and how this all works. Build your development plan with their input so that they feel respected, heard, understood, and they've got skin in the game on what you're raising money for. Sit in, if I'm going to let you, on their program planning meetings. Here's my next tip. Number 4 is truthfully the biggest thing that you could do to make them respect you and feel heard by you and understood by you. The biggest, like, the best ointment you could put on this wound is to go shadow them in the field. Say, I really want to go see this program in action. Would you be willing to let me do that? And go shadow them in the field, because that makes them feel seen and heard and respected. And here's another tip. Make it easy for them. Fundraiser. Oops, sorry. Trigger. I was trying to move my little window, my little video window. Make your program staff a donor cheat sheet of, these are our major gift donors. These are the things that they're passionate about. These are some of our corporate donors. These are some of the programs they've sponsored in the past. Make it easy for them. This is a good way to help them like feel more confident about fundraisers. They may feel super intimidated. They may feel like afraid of saying the wrong thing or doing the wrong thing around a donor. They may feel afraid they couldn't answer a donor's question or something like that. So familiarize them with who your donors are. Give them a little donor cheat sheet so that they feel more comfortable. And you might even say, these are some normal questions donors might have of you. These are some great things that you might be willing to talk about. And reassure them. They don't need to speak program speak. They can just, speak like at a much less complicated level because donors don't know the programs as intimately as they do. Here are some things that programs can do. They can give development program cheat sheets. These are our core programs. These are the outcomes. This is who we're serving. Here's some great quotes. They can tell development who clients are. You may be like scratching your head on that one. Well, I'll give you an example from my own fundraising. At Girl Start, we had a lot of girls going to summer camp. Parents worked at Google Fiber, eBay, Rackspace, Dropbox, Tesla, you name it. Austin, Texas is my hometown. I'm a native Austinite. I'm married to a native Austinite. So together we're an endangered species. And we have a lot of high-tech companies, and a lot of kids would go to our programs, and we would get to know, we wanted to know who their parents were so we could get in with those companies. And we really relied on programs to tell us, oh, Jackie's parents work at blank, you know, anyway, Jackie's parents work at BMC Software or wherever else. Programs can shadow development on an ask. That's a great way to really see what happens on a solicitation and have really kind of come close and realizing donors, they're just like us. Programs can also build a showcase into program events. That is where we did this a lot at Girl Start. As soon as we had an event going well with the girls, we would invite donors in, and we would have like a green room and they could mingle with other donors, and we gave them like a VIP volunteer opportunity so that they could get to know the kids in an easy, normal way to do that. Programs can also sit in on development planning meetings, and that can be a really important way for them to realize, wow, development really does have a ton of pressure. Those are two different ways for them to understand, like, I realized going to shadow programs in the field, I could never do this. And programs can realize from shadowing development on an ask, I could never do this. And when you have that understanding and respect for the other person, it makes it a lot easier to work with them. So these are some tips for leadership. This is for the executive director. This is for the CEO. This is for board members. This is articulate the culture that you want to have in your core values, in your handbook, and in your interviews. We celebrate a culture of philanthropy and believe in the culture of philanthropy. That is a culture in which everyone embraces the role that fundraising plays in supporting the organization, where all donors are treated with respect, where the efforts to raise money are respected, where everyone embraces and is excited to see donors, et cetera, et cetera. Giving training to your board, to your staff, as well as coaching. Celebrate what you want more of. Celebrate the good behavior. Reward. I talked about rewarding assists as much as points scored. Crafting your core values or revising them. Clearly articulating fundraising expectations, not just for development, but for your CEO and for your board and for your staff, as in program staff are asked, and part of their fundraising expectations is to regularly share stories of clients served at staff meetings, in blog posts, and in our newsletter. Programs is also is asked to share results and feedback from our clients by doing surveys. These surveys will be done, blah, blah, blah. I'm just giving some examples. I am really passionate about having clearly articulated fundraising expectations for your board in just a couple of minutes. Yay, I love what Henrik says. I especially love celebrating what you want more of. It's so motivating and supportive. And set a model example. Be the change that you want, like praising others, sharing stories yourself, treating donors the way you want to be treated, and treating program staff like they are donors. Be a model example yourself. Now, I'm going to wrap things up here by talking a little bit about getting your board to embrace fundraising, because I know that a lot of you struggle with that and care about that. And this isn't just about creating cultural philanthropy with your staff. It's also about creating cultural philanthropy with your board. So my first piece of advice is to focus on the rewards of how good giving feels. Did you know that giving is the neurological equivalent of winning the lottery? It is. When you make a gift, you get a whole rush of endorphins. That's a runner's high. Then you get a rush of oxytocin. That's the same hormone that is produced during lovemaking. Didn't think I was going to talk about lovemaking today, but there I just did. Giving feels great. Donors have lower blood pressure. They have lower rates of depression. They live longer. Just by asking people for money, you are helping people be healthier and live longer. Can you believe that? You didn't even know that probably when you joined Abby and I. There you go, you awesome fundraiser. Give yourself a pat on the back. And of all the kinds of giving, the kind that feels the absolute best is giving to a charity via a friend or relative or social connection rather than making a gift anonymously. So, hey, not only are you helping people live longer and be healthier and have lower rates of depression and lower blood pressure, you are giving them the holy grail of giving happiness by being a board member and inviting them to give to the organization that you serve on. And you know what else? A lot of board members are like, I don't want to ask my friends for money. But you know what? Your work as a volunteer is an immense source of pride to your friends. They are proud of how selfless you are. They are proud of how much good you do in the community. And they care about that. So that's so when you think I don't want to ask my friends, just realize my friends are proud of me. And you know what else? They share my values and they want to help because helping feels good. It feels good to the giver. It is the neurological equivalent of winning the lottery. When it comes to fundraising expectations and your boards, you have to introduce fundraising expectations. You need to be very clear from the beginning. This is a give and this is a take. And by the way, we've got like 13 more minutes. Don't be shy. If you have a question, type it into the Q&A. Give and take, my friends. While you serve on our board, we ask that you make us one of your top 3 philanthropic commitments. That is the first thing I would say to a prospective board member as I was introducing them to board service. While you're on our board, this is what we ask you. That is a super legitimate ask. That is so legitimate. They should put their money where they are putting their time. And that is a very, very valid. While you're on our board, we ask that you make us one of your top 3 philanthropic commits. We ask that you bring us your skills and your time and your effort and a positive attitude about fundraising. And hey, here's what you can expect from us. We're going to give you training and support to be effective. We're going to give you a choice in how you support fundraising. We're going to give you a choice in how you want to be involved in fundraising. And you get a choice in how you give. If you give online, if you become a monthly donor, how you're going to support events. We're going to give you a lot of choices. Give, take, give, take. So that is what it is. And to make this super easy for you, you can go over here and download under rachelmuir.com/guides. I have the tips on creating culture philanthropy, and I also have this board member. I've got the do's and don'ts of getting board members to fundraise, and I have this plan. And I'm a big fan of you coming up with like the Baskin Robbins. And if you have Baskin Robbins where you are in your part of the country, I have a Baskin Robbins here in Austin, Texas, maybe 2. My favorite flavor is lemon custard. Tell me your favorite flavor of Baskin Robbins if you've ever had Baskin Robbins. They have 31 flavors to be exact. And I want you to come up with the 31 different ways that board members can support fundraising at your organization. And I want you to let them sign up for what they want to do and not what they don't want to do. Because a lot of them don't want to sign up to like write their name down to all next to all the wealthy people that you want them to write their name next to, but they might be willing to cultivate some donors. They might be willing to have you as their guest for a lot of really great networking events. So think about that. So no one has typed into the chat their favorite uh, Baskin Robbins flavor, and I do want to know. So, oh, daiquiri ice from Abby, way to go, daiquiri ice. You know, my sister, I have an older sister, and she would always pick like the craziest flavors, like grape ice. And I'd be like, grape ice and bubble gum. When we were kids, bubble gum flavor Baskin Robbins literally had like big chunks of gum in it, but they stopped doing that. Obviously, because that's a little dangerous. We've got some Jamocha almond fudge now. Baskin Robbins is very, very famous for the Jamocha almond fudge. But we also have time for your questions. So pretty please, with sugar on top, you type those into the chat. I'm going to tell you while you're typing those into the chat. You were going to get the handouts from Abby. I couldn't upload them because they were just too large. That is my email address. I have a program called League of Extraordinary Fundraisers. I have a few people who are here who may be members or are members. And every month we do an awesome workshop. This month we're doing how to create a major gifts program. Next month we're covering end of year fundraising. It's only $49 a month. So if you had fun today and you were like, Rachel, she's kind of fun and hilarious. Think about it. It's a lot of fun. It's leagueofextraordinaryfundraisers.com. And forgive me, I have not updated it with the workshop for this month, but I am today. I've had a little bit of a crisis the past couple weeks where I suddenly had to become a caregiver for both of my elderly parents who are in a rehabilitation hospital. And so my life was kind of like exploded and really just like blew up really, really fast. But all these ice cream flavors are making me happy. And Margot said, yay, I'm here. And I love League of Extraordinary Fundraisers. And so did Ashley. So if you want a little bit more training, there's where you can check this out. I love this question from Christy, who said, what it is $49 a month, Jennifer. Christy said, what is the best approach to combat the naysayers and those that don't really understand what we do and say things like, why would I give money when your CEO makes $6 million a year? Which is absolutely not true, but they posted about it on Facebook. My goodness, my goodness. So that's insanity. I don't know what on earth is making them think that your CEO makes $6 million a year. It sounds like maybe there was like some really bad press or publicity. But if someone is saying that, I mean, if you've got some bad press or publicity, I would work with a publicist to address that and clean that up. And there are a lot of things that you can do, not just in terms of better positioning your organization, but also clean up things that you can do if there's like some old, some cleaning up on the interwebs to that you could do as well if you were able to work with a publicist and maybe better positioning your organization. I will say this to you, Christy, and this is I want to stress this for everybody. Okay, you will never make all of the people happy all of the time. You will make some of the people happy some of the time, and you may make some of the people, but you're never going to make all people happy all the time, and there will always be detractors, and you gotta shake it off. You can't let them get you down. Sometimes like one person will get like, I don't like this photo and this appeal. Well, if one person out of 7,000 people on your email list doesn't like a photo in your appeal, then it doesn't mean that you have to totally revamp your entire appeal, right? So sometimes the noisiest people, sometimes upset people can be the noisiest, but that doesn't mean they represent all of your donors. So I would maybe put this in context. The naysayers who are like hating on you may be really loud and it may be really overwhelming and it may send you like underneath the covers, but a lot of people really, really love you. And just keep in mind that if a friend of mine told me this in my early days of starting my nonprofit organization, he said, you know what, Rachel, if you are, I'm going to cuss here, I hope that's okay. He said, Rachel, if you are not pissing a few people off, then you're not doing it right. Okay. And I was like, wow. I mean, this guy has a PhD and he has run like some incredible like groundbreaking programs, changing lives of underserved kids. And detractors it's going to happen. So I hope that makes you feel better, Christy. Shauna said, and then the guide started to look at your 990s. CEO salaries are included. Love that. Don't be shy about posting your questions. I only have one more, and I may not have noticed your question in the chat. So Paula said, as an educational nonprofit high school, do you have any tips to build a culture of philanthropy among our students? We have come to realize that a big part of our alumni cultivation actually should happen when they are students, not alumni, but it's easier said than done. Well, so I'm guessing that you have students who come to your school on scholarship. and that you want to create a culture. And because for higher ed, and I'm just going to lump you in with higher ed here, even though you're high school, even though you're a secondary school, I should say, creating a culture of philanthropy for higher ed means, how do I get students to understand how fundraising works and the value of scholarships so that they will ultimately become donors? And that starts with you teaching them about it, as in, look around the room, 30% of you came here on a scholarship. I think they do that like at Harvard, like the first day or something. So I would encourage you to think about ways you can instill a culture of philanthropy with your students. One organization, one college in Boston did this piggy bank. They had this blue pig, and I think it was Emory University. They had this blue pig, and the pig was for each class, and they stole the pig, and the class had to raise money to get the pig back, and that was money for their annual fund. So you could think about what are fun and playful ways, but it's about helping them understand what do donations do at your school, and also being really in touch with them and getting great stories, Paula, from how did this experience change your life? What did this give you that you wouldn't have gotten without coming to our school? Carrie said, I'm not sure. But questions, type them into the chat. Love that. And I'm not sure. I think Terry had a question about, oh, Terry is asking about, so every month there's a workshop, and one of the workshops that we did was about converting more online gifts, meaning how do you get more people that visit your website to make a donation? Because something like 88 or 91% of people who visit your, no, maybe it's 77%. I think it's 77% of people who visit your website will not make an online donation. And the truth is, Terry, there are a lot of things that you might have up there that are preventing them from making a donation. So this program, League of Extraordinary Fundraisers, it's a workshop every month, but when you join, you get access to all the workshops. And those are some of the workshops that we've done. I hope that is helpful to you. We still have 3 minutes, and we covered so much, and I'm so grateful. And this was really fun. I love QGive. They do amazing work. And you guys are helping one another in the chat. And I think that's super fantastic and fabulous. And I love that about you. And I love all your ice cream flavors. It's making me want to go eat ice cream right now. Oops, those are all my slides. Yeah, it's making me want to eat ice cream right now. I don't know about you. And I gotta try this daiquiri ice, Abby. Your number one favorite flavor from Baskin Robbins?
Oh yeah, when I was a little kid, I used to get that all the time, and I thought I was so sophisticated because I was getting daiquiri ice. I was going to extend this offer since we have a couple minutes. So when I send you all the follow-up email with a link to this recording and Rachel's slides and everything, I can send you all some additional resources. So if you guys let me know, just drop a note in the chat. If you have any challenges you're facing at your organization, if you're working on any planning coming up and you would like some resources around that, let me know. And if I can get you some good resources to answer that question or solve that problem, I will include that in the email. So just let me know.
You did such an awesome job with that. I really have to brag on them. I mean, they're always putting out really great trainings and really great workshops, and they're so fun to work with. I love getting to be a friend of QGive. I feel like I'm like part of your extended work family, even though I don't.
You are. And everyone on this call, Rachel just had her birthday, so do let her know. Happy birthday. She's great. And Rachel is actually coming back and doing another webinar with us on October 7th. So keep an eye out for that. And that one, actually, Rachel, is the day after my birthday. So we're celebrating our birthdays together.
I love it. I love it.
All right, perfect. Well, Rachel, thank you so much for hanging out with us and for sharing all of this information with us. I've seen this presentation before, and I feel like I learned something new every time. So I hope the rest of you get to do that or get that experience as well. Do keep an eye on your inboxes. I'm going to send you an email. It should come to your email around 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. It'll have this presentation It will have a link to the slides. It will have lots of additional resources you can use. I'm thinking, Rachel, about including a link to one of your webinars that you did with us on board fundraising in particular, so you guys can kind of dig into that topic a little more. And then just as one last thing, I'm going to share this final joke from Shauna.
Oh,
How
I love it.
often do pool lifeguards donate to charity? It depends. I love it.
I love it.
We have a deep love for puns here at QGive, so these have been delightful. All right, everyone, thank you for hanging out with us. You have so much on your plate and your time is so valuable, and I appreciate you spending it with us today. Keep an eye on your inbox. We will be in touch with you. Have a great Thursday. Bye, everyone.